Now, you've both mentioned education a number of times so far today. What specifically can the legislature do to improve education? Is it only financial, or is there a greater role that the legislature can play?
I think it's both, to be quite honest with you. You know, in a school, regardless of the school, whether it's in a wealthy community or in Fall River or an urban center, if you don't have the finances to operate a school system, it's very difficult to do. Just like running a newspaper. If you don't have the revenue coming in, you need staff members, you need some people to run a newspaper or a private business. So the revenue has to be addressed as far as how much funding we do get. And Fall River does quite well with the funding. And, you know, the state does pick up a great deal of our budget. So that's as far as finances go, I think we need to continue to do that. But there's other things that we can do through legislation, through continuing, and it's a very difficult discussion has to be had about MCAS. A lot of people look at it, and a lot of people in the State House look at it and say we need to get rid of the MCAS test because it's not teaching our children. It's teaching to the test. It's teaching to the test. I hear that, you know, all the time, being on the school committee as well as a state representative. And many years ago, or several years ago, the state came down to align the curriculum to the curriculum framework, so we knew what the kids are supposed to be learning in each and every subject matter in each and every grade. So everyone, I think, is in agreement that we need to align the curriculum in education to what the kids are learning, The MCAS test is made, the questions made and built on the curriculum frameworks. So when I say that I'm a supporter of the MCAS exam, it's because I'm a supporter of the curriculum frameworks. So if you're a supporter of the frameworks, you instantly should be a supporter of the MCAS test, and vice versa. So in essence, they're one and the same. The questions get taken out, so the students actually get tested on what they know. And I think that was a very difficult decision prior to me being in the legislature that the legislature made. But I think communities, as they're looking at the data and the way that the education system is going right now, we're making progress better than most states across the United States. So I think we need to focus on that. Thank you.
I think my opponent brought up a very important issue, that being that Fall River specifically receives an adequate share or more than adequate share of the state budget. Yet, as a school committeeman, our school committee, my opponent and our school committee can't manage that budget. They're unable to make the hard cuts. Representative Aguiar has sat here and said, we need to make hard cuts, we need to make hard cuts, we need to make hard cuts. But hard cuts aren't being made. They deal with soft numbers. They approve budget cuts that pan out to not be actual budget cuts. Jobs aren't being lost, services aren't being cut, yet numbers on paper keep coming out. The legislature needs to say, we need accountability. When we give you money, you better produce. And I don't care if that's the educational system, I don't care if that's a construction job, I don't care what it is, but the citizens of the Commonwealth have the right to know how their money's being spent and have a right to a say in how that money's being spent. There is no accountability, and that's very obvious here in Fall River as we've been experiencing this major budget fiasco, this catastrophe that we fight over day after day. And at a recent school committee meeting it was said, well, if we're still short, we'll deal with it next month. We don't deal with things next month. The more we put off, the worse it gets. We have to stop being reactive. We have to be proactive. We have to address the issues immediately, take care of them, and plan accordingly. The state legislature has the authority and the ability to do that. And we do have to stop teaching the test. We have to start teaching the subject matter and be sure the kids know that.
Yeah, I do think there needs to be accountability. And over my term in office in the school committee, there has been accountability with me. I have looked at the meetings over the past year and seen over and over again how I had to question the numbers that was coming from the administration in the school department. So I have done the work as a school committee member. Now as a state representative and school committee member, I'm continuing to do that work. With the current issue that we have going on before us, as I stated to the answer to the prior question of how do we deal with the budget crisis across the state, is that we need to keep the core services. We need to keep the core services in the state, and we need to keep the core services in the school department. The plan that was adopted by the school committee has been and is in the process of being verified as being doable, and it's going to keep the integrity and the core services in the school department. People want to make sound bites to say, well, they're soft numbers. They're not soft numbers. They're actual numbers. Now, the prior people that were working in the school department, we've made some changes in the CFO with the city administration, and we're working on getting better financial numbers than we've ever had before. And finally, people are coming around to the fact that I've been questioning the numbers that we get for the past several years under the current administration in the school department. But we're doing the right thing in the school committee. I don't want it to be said here or anywhere that we're just not making cuts. I can make a tough decision, and I did make a tough decision at the last school committee meeting to keep the core services in the school department. I don't want to get rid of and decimate the school system in the middle of a school year because of people want to just cut for the sake of cutting. That's not what I want to do. I want to tighten the belt on expenses and do what we can to have an honest plan that's going to show how we can keep the core services and create a balanced budget. So.